Today's episode was supposed to be all about scouting, but as you can see, we now sit on 97 points, 18 clear of Macclesfield in second with just 6 games left to play. What that means is we now need just 1 point in our next home match against Southport to ensure that we secure the title and gain promotion to the Vanarama National League. As such, it will be at the top of our agenda to make sure we get the job done. But I'm pretty certain that a lot of you have clicked on this video because of the Data Hub. And after the intro, that's where we'll start. So here we go again, the Data Hub. Now the plan for today is to have a look at what's worked and what hasn't from all those tactical changes that we made in that previous episode. If you haven't checked that one out, it is something of an origin story to this episode, so maybe use the link above my head and pop over there. Let's get straight into it, and as we did in the previous one, we're going to start off by looking at the overview. So click on the summary right here, and what I'm going to do now is pop on a side-by-side as a comparison of the previous episode. So the last time we looked at the screen, we had played 20 in the league. Now we're exactly 20 games ahead, having played 40, and as you can see, the general performance polygon looks somewhat different. On the whole, it looks like a lot has gone right, bar the goals per game. So at the time we were scoring 2.23 goals per game, and now we're scoring just 2.08. The funny thing is our non-penalty expected goals per 90 has gone up from 1.80 to 1.82. We're also conceding a lot less than we have been. We were conceding 1.14 in the past and now just 0.88 per game. So definitely we have improved somewhat defensively. We're also expecting less goals per game against us, now just 0.96. On the plus side, our pass completion ratio has gone up very slightly to 85.88, as well as our shots on target ratio is now at 42.40. We're also getting just a little bit better in terms of our tackles, with the tackles won ratio now at 78.01, and this was something that we definitely wanted to improve on when we created our problem list and action plan. I'm going to pop over to the team attacking and team defending polygons to have a look at all of this in a little bit more depth. Now yet again, it looks like a lot has improved by the goals per game. Our cross completion, which was definitely a highlighted problem in the previous analysis, has now improved to 13.12% from 11.49. We're also dribbling more per game with 15.57 dribbles per game now completed, and we're also getting fouled more with 12 fouls per game against us. Our shots on target ratio of 42.40 is almost 4% higher than previously, and the goals per game has gone down, which is somewhat surprising, but we'll have a look into that very soon. Now popping over to the defending, we're now conceding just 0.88 goals per game with an XG against of 0.96. Some of that defensive improvement can be put down to our final third passes against per game, which has improved to 44.47, as well as our tackles won ratio, which has now gone up just a bit to 78.01. We now have 16 clean sheets to show for all of our defensive work, but the problem here is the opposition passes per defensive action has now gone up slightly to 4.65, whilst the fouls made per game has also gone up to 12.45. Now this was somewhat expected, with regards to the fouls, that is. We did go ahead and tackle a bit harder, and as I said at the time, I think it's going to result in a few more cards and a few more fouls. The one worrying thing is that we still aren't getting the engagement that we wanted to in terms of our defending. Now, of course, we've made multiple changes to try to counter this. Let's look at the zone map to see if there's any improvement in that sense. Now, there's definitely been a minor improvement to our defensive actions zone map. As you can see, now we're sitting on 34% in our defensive final third, with it being shifted up very slightly towards the middle of the pitch. Of course, we had played 20 games at the time, and a lot of these changes are going to be somewhat subtle. Nonetheless, what it does tell me is that we're heading in the right direction. Now, obviously, I would love for this to look a lot better, but naturally, most of our defensive actions are going to happen in our own half and deep into our half, where there are shots, blocks, and clearances. We'll have a look at the screen again at some point in the future to see if we can progress it even further. I would hope that maybe it would go down to something like 25% in the final third of the defense and something more like 35% close to the middle of the pitch. Similarly, in our possession loss zone map, there is a small difference. losing 1% less of the ball in our final third. So definitely not the biggest improvement, but something that we can take as a positive. Likewise, we've also improved subtly in the possessions gained, now 20% in our middle third defensively, and 15% in the first third offensively. Now the next step is to pop into our XG table and have a look at how that is looking at this point in the season. So as you can see, there are a lot of positives to take from here. So previously we were conceding about 2 more than expected, and now we're conceding about 3 less. We're also now sitting at plus 18 on expected points. Of course, the expected goals scored has gone down by 2 to plus 3, but a lot of the changes that were made in the previous episode were based on getting somewhat more defensively sound. Now we're going to have a look into what I think might be the problem with regards to our pressing, and then maybe make a few more changes. Now I have been tinkering just a bit to figure out a few things behind the scenes, so we'll have a look at all of that right now. So previously we used the scatter graphs to get a more in-depth look at what's been going right and what's been going wrong, and we'll do the same thing today. Now as I mentioned in the overview, we have been allowing just a little bit more in terms of opposition passes per each defensive action, and as you can see here, that lies true in the scatter graph. Now the new scatter graph's on the left and the old one is on the right. Now we'll pop over to defending as a whole and have a look at that one as well and see how it looks. And here we go. We are still completing fewer blocks and fewer clearances than the rest of the league. Now popping over to the tackling scatter graph, we can see that we've improved a little bit here. So definitely something positive to come from the changes. We now attempt just a few more tackles per game, and we're also winning a few more of them. Now as a sum of all these parts, let's pop over to the scatter graph for our defensive efficiency. And that's going to tell us the true story. So now there's been a lot of improvement. The opposition now have a much lower conversion rate than previously. It's now well under 10%, and we're facing fewer shots per game. In fact, it might be something around 9 shots per game. So definitely an improvement overall in terms of our defending. Now there's something that I've been playing around with in terms of improving our pressing as a whole. I'm going to pop over to the tactics just to have a look at that again. So in the recent episode about creating a tactic, we changed the tactical style to custom gegenpress from custom tiki-taka. And I do think that's going to have some sort of an influence going forward. I've also been playing around with the out of possession instructions in terms of our triggering of the press. We're now sitting again at much more often. Now what I did in the last episode was I turned this all the way down to slightly more often with the aim of getting the forward players to actually press more often. So if I went to edit instructions, I could pop this over to more often. Now if I go back here, we'll just do this one more time. I'm going to change this out of possession instruction back to much more often and then go back to the player instructions. Now, this kind of took me for one. If I go here to edit on Roy Deacon, you'll see that it now says less often in the trigger press, and I did mention this. But if I pop back out of the screen and I look right here, it does still say close down more. So there might be a little bit of a glitch in the matrix there, and I'm going to test this out a little bit to see if I leave this back at pressing much more often and see if we get a little bit more of a high press that'll win us back the ball higher up the field. So going forward, hopefully this helps us get the engagement that we want high up the pitch to win the ball back and play something closer to total football, where the offensive players are winning the ball back a lot and then immediately getting in there and creating a new attack. Now let's pop back to the hub and have a look at the crossing, which was the other area that we tried to improve a bit. And what we're going to do now is look at individual analytics here. We'll pop back to scatter graph this season, then go down to players, and we'll start off with the forwards and click on crossing. So as part of the action plan, we brought in Jacob Beaumont-Clark as a new wide forward. And as you can see, he has been doing wonders, putting in a lot of crosses and crossing quite accurately. Now we also changed the roles of our wide forwards to encourage the forwards to cross more than the defenders were, and we can definitely see that that has improved as well across the board. It seems like everyone's crossing a few more times per 90. The cross completion ratios for a lot of these players are roughly the same, bar Mbuya, Alamanji and Malisa Asamoah. Unfortunately, Malisa Asamoah has actually gone down quite a bit, while Alamanji has gone up quite a bit. He doesn't cross a lot though, so this is not going to benefit us too much. On the whole though, as we saw from the overview, I'll pop back to that very quickly and I'll go down to attacking polygon. We'll see that cross completion ratio has improved significantly. So definitely that has worked out quite nicely. So on the whole, I think that the data hub has definitely served us well. We've definitely improved defensively and in a few other areas very subtly, but as expected. We had played 20 games at the time, and now we're 20 games ahead, and we'll still continue to make those changes. Now, as I mentioned in that episode, always look for other reasons or other things that might be influencing what's been going on in the team. And we're going to pop over to the squad viewer and have a look at if there is anything else that could be leading to this. Now, I'm going to change the overview to attributes, and we'll go over to defensive. I'm then going to go ahead and filter this by just our midfielders and attacking midfielders and attackers, and we'll have a look here at the tackling. There are just 6 players that sit above 7, so not great stuff. And to be fair, Matt Johnson barely plays. I gave him a game very recently just for some rotation. So we definitely have a little bit of an issue in terms of tackling. Now, if I pop over and change the attributes to mental, we'll see a bigger problem. And this, I think, is a massive factor in terms of getting a very functional or working press. Now, the work rate for most of these players is decent and probably even good for the level, but not nearly as high enough as we need it to be to execute this constantly pressing and playing attacking football like it is in a gegenpress. So quite a few players in the upper echelons of this ranking here don't even start. Jonathan Murphy is a youth player. Matt Johnson barely plays. Come down here to Luke Ellis-Flower, and I honestly don't even care about him with his low potential. And then Joshua Hassan, who has been starting in and out. From the common starters like Alamanji, who sits on 8, Asamoah sits on 8, Jack Barr sits on 8, Beaumont Clark sits on 9. So the forwards aren't particularly adept at pressing high and working hard to win the ball back. In terms of the aggression, then we'll see that we have quite a few aggressive players, but again, it's Teddy Rowe, Cody Pennington, and Mbuya Alamanji, or Leo Black if he starts, Roy Deacon sometimes. We'll come all the way down. Asamoah, Jacob Beaumont Clark, these guys don't really press very aggressively or get very aggressive in any match situation. Now, this is definitely something that undermines all of the changes that we've been making with the Data Hub. But as I mentioned, this is with a view to the future. So we're creating a system where we're trying to get everything ironed out before we bring in players that are perfect for us. Now, going forward into that scouting episode, which will be done at the end of the season, we're going to take this into consideration. Bring in some players that are a bit more hardworking, maybe with good determination to go with that. Of course, we already have a fairly determined squad, and then also with a little bit of aggression. We do need to balance that somewhat so that we don't have a squad that gets 10 red cards per game and have no squad in the next. But we definitely will benefit from having an overall more hardworking, aggressive lineup. Now, naturally, as we move up the divisions, we're going to get players with grossly better mental and physical stats, and that's going to help a ton in terms of this. So I hope this has helped somewhat. I am a very strong advocate for making mistakes and learning from them. Now, doing this using the Data Hub, constantly tinkering and figuring out how things have been going, maybe with a review like I'm doing right now every 20 games or so, you're going to get quite far into creating a tactic for yourself, like I mentioned in the tactics episode, that is perfect for you, your situation, and what you want to see. Now, hopefully at some point in the future, we're going to arrive at a complete tactic here where it's total football. We're smashing teams and dominating, and that would be something that I'd love to see. But to get to that point in the future, we have to start somewhere. And for today, let's get it started with a win against Southport. So as it is a big game coming up, we're going to start off by holding a team meeting. Now, even though my squad is fairly determined or even determined, they're not going to take very well to me going ahead and saying, we're 1 point away, let's win the title, get the job done. We're going to treat it like it's any game. And we're going to say, we're a better team than Southport. We should be getting the results we need against them to win the title and see how the lads respond. As expected, everyone is particularly agreeable or encouraged. I'm just going to say that's exactly the sort of reaction that I wanted. Cool beans. Everyone is on point. Now let's head over to the press conference, something that we don't do too often in these episodes, and just have a little bit of a chat. Now, I know a lot of you probably send your assistant to this, and I do myself, I must admit. We're going to start off with, what are your thoughts on Junior Stanislas's claims that Leamington will go on and secure the title in the closing weeks of the season? We'll respond rather positively with a warm little smile. It's been a good season so far, but it counts for absolutely naught if we're not on our game right until the end. The boys are in good spirits, and we're going forward with a positive attitude. Southport are on a poor run of 5 league games without a win and find themselves in 11th place in the National League North. It would be fair to say the Southport are due a win, but do you think they will get one on Saturday at your Co-op Community Stadium? They're a quality team. We've got a real challenge on our hands. We don't, but I'm going to lie. A draw against Southport is all you need to secure the title. Are the nerves hitting you yet? I don't get nervous at all. I feel quite calm. Your team played so well against Hereford, so it's surely a case of the same again today. I'm going to go ahead and challenge the boys a bit. We talk about physical toughness, but this is a mental challenge for us now. Focus is more important than ever. As a positive atmosphere around the club contributed to the strong run of form, one informs the other. The better we play, the happier we are, and so on. You worry about a bad result that damages morale? We're a strong group, and I don't think a defeat here or there is going to hurt us in that regard. I'm just going to smile warmly again. Darragh Lynch has been one of Southport's best players this season. Just how much of their success has been down to him, in your opinion? We're going to go ahead and say Southport have many good players, and their overall team is responsible for the season they're having. Jacob BoiMaam has been absent with injury recently, but rumours abound that he may be in line for a return against Southport. Is he likely to be available? Now, realistically, I don't think he's going to play, so we're just going to say, I think it looks unlikely. We could rush him back, but that wouldn't make any sense. Of course, we sent Micah Anthony out on loan to Gosport Borough, and what do you think his playing pathway looks like? I'm going to say he's doing really well, and showing that sending him on loan was definitely the best thing for him. He's making great progress, but honestly, I don't think he's going to come back into the side. Is it time for him to move on from Gosport Borough in such of a new challenge? Let's actually go and say, with respect, we're not here to talk about Micah, are we? It's been noted that you've signed a number of young players. Is this a conscious effort on the part of the club to build for the future? Of course it is. Some of these players may be young, but age is no barrier if they're a fantastic player. Why do you think your team has one of the best attacking records in the league? Because I am a genius. Do you not get that already? I'm lucky to have fantastic players with quality in every area. You've turned York Hope Community Stadium into something of a fortress in recent times. How important is a good home record? So the stats show that the home advantage exists, and so we should be looking to benefit as much from that as possible. We're proud of our home record. Can you talk about your relationship with Jim Bentley? I do not even know who that is, so I'm just going to say I don't know him, but I respect him as a manager, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Now, this press conference is getting awfully long, and this is exactly why I send my assistant to it. So we're just going to go ahead and click, and get out of it. I'll be glad when it's over. How sympathetic are you towards Paul Holleran? Sorry, dude, I know you're still the manager of Leamington in real life, but he's been harshly treated. Are you going to be changing your training methods in response to Archie Ricketts' complaints? That's really something my staff and myself will discuss, and that is finally done. Now let's look at the squad and see how we're going to go into this final match. And here we go. Then a slightly rotated side. Of course, Jacob BoiMaam is struggling for fitness a bit. He's just come back from that injury, so we'll keep him out for today. No need to risk it. We'll go ahead and play Melissa Asamoah and Rory Deacon. Jack Barr sits on the bench today. Alamanji starts up top with Terry Rowe and Cody Pennington in the midfield. Levi Ando comes in. Archie Ricketts sits out for today, not because of the presser, but just because he's struggling for fitness a little bit. Tom Nixon starts at right back with Ezra Nolam at left back and Dennis Wall in net, as it has been. He's played 43 times this season. Let's get into it, and I'll catch you on the sideline. So we come up against a 4-4-2 from Southport here with Jim Bentley as the manager. And of course, I know Jim Bentley. He's my great friend that, as I said in the press conference, I have a lot of respect for. So we're going to kick off here and see how we start. The big ball upfield from Renshaw in the Southport net, and it's broken free to Lynch. Good save from Dennis Wall there. A bit of poor defending early on into this one. Corner whooped in then. Can we win that back? Wall comes out and claims very comfortably. Now a chance at the other end. The ball's broken free to Melissa Asamoah. Can he find a cross? No, he goes back to Nixon. Now Terry Rowe and Pennington deep. Good strike there. Palmed away by Renshaw. As the Nolam comes up to take the corner. He whoops one in towards the far post. He just misses Levi Ando, but it's recycled to Asamoah yet again. Cuts it back to Ando and whooped over the top to Ezanolam, who's offside. So Dennis Wall with the ball, and he goes big over the top, and we win that. Nope, it breaks free to Lynch and then comes back to us. It goes to Deacon and now Pennington. Can he find a pass? Good ball knocked over the top. Alamanji hit the target, lad. He cuts out wide as Ezanolam, Rowe, Pennington, and another big strike palmed away. Now Cody comes up to take the corner. He whoops one into the near post. Why on earth are you doing that? Roy Deacon then and palmed away again. Some good early attacking dominance here. Pennington now with another corner. Whooped in towards the far post. Much better. Nodded away. That'll be another corner. There's an Olam from the other side, and again drilled to the near post. So decent stuff early on, and we're having corners for fun here. There's an Olam again going well towards the far post. Breaks to Alamanji, and it comes back somehow to Isaac Burgess, who scores. Now again on the attack, and Asamoah breaks down the right wing again, cutting back to Teddy Rowe, and he finds a pass back in very neatly. Renshaw coming up with yet another save. Some good play there. Now sixth corner, whooped in towards the far post. Keeper comes out well. That should break to nothing, or will they go on the counter here? It's gone out. Now Rory Deacon with the ball in the midfield, knocks it all the way back to Dennis Wall. Some patient play at the back. Progressed through the thirds, actually quite quickly for a change. And Asamoah now playing really well. Wow. He started off like an absolute house on fire, beating down players on that wing. He cuts it back to Rory Deacon, who taps it in. There's some smooth football thus far. Now Levi Ando with the ball deep into our half. Rowe and then Isaac Burgess just knocking it around, trying to find some spaces. Asamoah now again breaking down the wing. Can he find someone? He finds Nixon, and then Josh Smith in the box. Easy goal, slotted, just sitting the keeper down there. Wonderful football. So the lads have definitely been taking this one seriously. A lot of class and quality shown thus far, and it's just a 38-minute we sit 3-0 up. Now Levi Ando chilling with the ball on the halfway line, knocked to Esnolam, and now Deacon. A good ball in. Alamanji, how on earth? He has been in some problematic form as of late. We've tried a few things. Nothing's worked thus far, but thankfully goals are coming from elsewhere. Now Asamoah to Rowe, and Asamoah again. He's been storming it today, and a much-deserved goal. Melise Asamoah offered Teddy Rowe assist. So yet again, another chance building here on that right wing that we've been so potent off. Coming infield now, Nixon. He goes across to Ezanolam. Will he hit it? He does, and it's palmed away yet again by Renshaw. It's our 8th corner of the game then. Go to the back post. Yes, lad. Alamanji nodded off the defender. Renshaw with the ball now. Kicks it big up top. Won back by Burgess very nicely, and now Josh Smith breaks through the lines. Alamanji, please slot. Finally, yes lad. He's gone ahead and slotted like a poacher should. He's obviously playing as an advanced forward though. And that one makes me more happy than the rest. I'm going to go ahead and actually watch it play. He's done quite well. He's been in the crappiest of form in recent times, and that was taken with some lethalness, if that even is a word. It's halftime then, and it's taken me all of 2 seconds to realize the word's actually lethality, isn't it? Let's go to the dressing room, just praise the lads a bit here. They played really well in this first half. We'll just keep it going. Now a chance breaking for Southport here. Ooh, an overlap. Dennis Wall comes up, chumps, big save. What comes from the corner then? Whooped towards the far post, nodded out quite nicely, but breaks to Anson and off the bar. Oh wow. Connolly recycles possession back to Finley Heath. Anson again. Can we win this back? Roy Deacon with a foul. Off the free kick then. Will he whip this one in or go direct? Goes towards the far post. Dennis Wall comes out and claims quite nicely there. Now Southport on the counter yet again. Kelly's been left alone. Let's get whooped across. Looks like a chance, and it's buried. So an unnecessary goal conceded there. Colin Kelly getting a lot of space and time, and it's slotted eventually. We come back immediately with a free kick. That is won again, and on the counter again. So we might need to drop the defensive line a bit. I mean, we are 5-1 up, but I really don't enjoy conceding goals. So just go ahead and see how this plays out. Levi Ando back to Dennis Wall, back to Ando. Just slowing the tempo down a bit here. Ezanolam now breaking through the lines quite well. And he's not challenged yet. Alamanji, then Teddy Rowe, slotted. Simple football. Ezanolam just allowed to burst through the midfield like nothing's been going on. And Teddy Rowe comes up with a left-footed finish. Knocked it out to Luke Burgess out wide. Can we win this back? Actually think we're getting close to making a few changes soon. Let's rotate the squad a bit. Everyone's played quite well today. We'll go ahead and bring in maybe Josh Hassan and a few others. But Kelly's free again and he slots wide. Let's make those changes. So Leo Black, Jack Barr and Josh Hassan all on. I've decided to leave Alamanji up top just because he's actually playing well today. Let's see if he can go ahead and grab another. Now Black gets involved early into the action once he comes on. He loses the ball, but it's won back by Nixon there, and it seems to just get recycled repeatedly. Now, what the hell is his name? Habter back to Lecky, and Southport are being patient for a change. Out to Lynch. There looks like a killer pass might be made soon. Out to Mami, and he passes to Lynch. Now Connolly and Burgess, big shot over the top. Now Southport again on the attack. The ball over the top as it has been. Cut back and some poor defending, but Dennis Hall comes up with yet another save. So just a couple seconds or game minutes left, and we look to have wrapped this up. 6-1 it is then, and the lads have really turned up. Wonderful to see. We've been scoring a few more goals in recent times with all the little changes being made. Teddy Road to Josh Hassan. Are we going to grab one more before the ref goes ahead and blows the final whistle? No chance. So we have won the league with a fantastic 6-1 result here at home. Everyone playing really well. Buya Lemanji coming up with 2 assists, so definitely taking it to heart. Been criticizing him a fair bit recently, and we've done it. So we're going ahead now, and we're going to get promoted. And that scouting episode is probably going to be an absolute blast. We're going to look at some things you can do to get the most out of scouting in the lower leagues and prepping for rising up the divisions, like we are going to be doing very soon. Now, if you've enjoyed this one, please don't forget to drop us a like. If you haven't subscribed already, please do if you're enjoying the content. You can also hit the notification bell to stay tuned for everything that is to come. Until the next one, please take care and laka. Check you. Bye!